Welcome back, guys. And really thanks a lot again to have clicked on the video. Please subscribe if you have not done yet and help me to grow the channel. So today we will discuss about budgeting like a pro. This is the part 1. Soon I will publish part 2. And let's start to discuss a bit why it's really important to budget and what are the basic rules and concepts. I think that when something is really important for us, it's easy to define the motivation and establish habits and discipline. So we need really to understand some basic rules and basic concepts in order to create a kind of motivational sparkle. So, base rules. First thing, budgeting is the backbone of a wealthy and stress-free life. If you want to increase your income, okay, it's fine. You can do 2 jobs, 3 jobs. But then if you keep overspending, you are just doing a lot of work for nothing. So if you want to get wealthy, you have to reduce the amount of things that you pay for. And then you need also to consider the emotional side. Budgeting and basically emotions are really quite a tight couple. And let's consider also a stress-free life. How many people arrive at the end of the month and maybe they cannot, let's say, afford all the different expenses. They have to use the credit cards or other form of, let's say, credit. And then they have to pay passive interests. Basically, all the passive interests are part of the money that you earn each month that are going away. Another important thing from emotional point of view, you will feel anxious, nervous. You will feel as you have failed because you don't have enough money maybe to cover an unexpected expenses. So in a very simple way, budgeting and emotions are strictly connected. Now, another base rule that we have to consider is basically even a small amount of money invested money can make really a difference on the long run. In one of the previous video, I've shown you as how $100 a month invested in maybe an ETF or in a savings account or whatever that gives you 5% a year can basically in 20 years gives you 42,000. So it's really impressive. Small amount of money can really give you certain kind of wealth. Now, rule number 3, track expenses. This is really important because first you can understand the money, where they goes, where they, let's say, fly. And especially you can track also unexpected expenses because you can do kind of, let's say, budget, a kind of planning around them. You can also identify the money that you waste, especially subscriptions. How many of you, and please write in the comment, how many of you, me included, have some kind of subscriptions that we don't use or we don't use 100%. All of them are, my honest opinion, money wasted. Unexpected expenses can be sometimes planned or forecasted, sometimes not. For this reason, we need an emergency fund to cover this kind of situation. 4th point, money is a tool, it's not a goal. The goal is the financial freedom. This is what many people don't get. And then we can investigate a bit more, we can define a bit more what is financial freedom. Now, financial freedom, okay, here we come to 2 basic concepts, financial freedom and retirement. Financial freedom is when you have enough savings, enough investment and cash that you can afford the life you want, pursue your dreams, or just retire. You can retire in advance, 10 years or 20 years, and then you have your own standard of living. In my opinion, financial freedom is not really stop working, but is more, I want to do the work that I like, I want to collaborate with people I love, I want to follow projects that motivate me. And especially I want to have a work-life balance that is much better than what I have today, for instance. And I don't need to change my standard of living. Now, about retirement. About retirement, there are other kind of misconceptions. Many people think retirement is just I stop working at a certain age. It depends on the law of your state you live in. In my case, living in Switzerland is 65 years old. And then I just retire. The problem that people always forget is the standard of living. When they retire, they change, or they must change, or they have to change the standard of living. And this is because at certain point, you have less money. You have less, let's say, income, and then you cannot keep the same standard of living. And in general, you are not self-sufficient. So the risk is that you have to sell the house, or you have to change your standard of living, or you have to reduce a lot of things. Now, what is the comparison between financial freedom and retirement? So, in one case, financial freedom, so the base logic is exactly the same. But let's say you can retire at 50, 65, you can retire 1-2 years in advance because, you earn enough money, you have enough savings, investments, other source of income. But then if you retire 10, 20 years in advance, so it's financial freedom. And usually you retire because the income that you have makes the labor income totally irrelevant. In the case of the retirement is a subset of financial freedom. You can see retirement as, okay, I can retire at 65 or 1-2 years in advance. Because otherwise I cannot live I'm not self-sufficient with my income. Now, comforting lies. This is a very interesting point. The web is full of comforting lies. The online world, it's full. There are a lot of people promising you easy shortcuts, promising you high performance promises. You have a lot of fake guru telling you if you invest here, you invest there, you will be rich in 1 year, 2 years, or 3 months, or whatever. And then you can stop working. Stop working is let's say, it's something quite debatable. My personal opinion is I'm not planning financial freedom to stop working, but really to do what I like and to live a life that I want. Okay? With my own, let's say, rhythm, with my own work-life balance. And especially here in this channel, you will not find any kind of easy shortcut, high performance promises. So if you are looking for the magic pills, this channel is not for you, sorry. Now, let's go on. How can we reach the financial freedom? We have to establish 4 habits. First thing, we have to set financial life goals and create a project. And then we have to stick to follow it, to realize it. Without any kind of financial goals, we go nowhere. Second point, we have to make a budget and stick to it. We have to manage the income that we have. We have to manage expenses. We have to track them. And we have to avoid to overspend. In one of the previous video, I've shown you a nice survey done on in the US, where you have a 64% of people admit to overspend. And you have a lot of people, they don't do budgeting because they are afraid to see how much money they spent. Now, point number 3, carry no debts or as little as possible. You have to pay the credit cards monthly. Every time that you have a debt and you don't pay the debt, or you pay on the long run, you pay passive interest. And the interest is some on top of interest if you keep doing debts. Try to understand, try to see how many interest you pay on that money. In my case, I have something like between 13-15% of interest if I don't pay the credit card debt. It's amazing. All that money, try to do the equivalent and consider the amount of money that you pay, how many weeks or days or months you have to work to pay that debt. It means that, to pay that interest, it means that you are doing a lot of free job. So you do a lot of job just to pay basically debts, to pay interest. And this is totally crazy. Point number 4. You must create an emergency fund. You must automate the savings and invest. So the emergency fund helps you to avoid that some kind of expenses can basically create a mess in your financial life. And then you are obliged to go to some bank or use credit card or whatever, make a debt and pay additional interest. You need to automatically save money and invest money. My preferred instrument is ETF. I've done an episode about ETF types. And you must invest. Invest is the only way that you have to increase, to improve your personal fortune. Now, let's talk about the financial goals. Financial goals, as I said, if something is important for us, we are more motivated to establish an habit and a discipline. So the financial goal for me have the motivational sparkle to budget, to save, to invest, basically to reach the financial objectives. A goal and objective is how to save and spend money. We can have short and long-term objectives. A short can be vacation, can be start a business. A longer can be a retirement, can be improve lifestyle, and so on. Now, here, when you define a financial goal, you have to ask you a question. What do I have to save for? Because if you don't let's say, define a motivational sparkle, you go nowhere. So you have to design a life, and this is a very nice word, design a life you would be happy to look back on. How many people arrive at the end of their life, they go retirement, and then at a certain point they are not happy, or they are frustrated because they don't have enough savings, because they live a life, they have lived a life they didn't want or they didn't like, or whatever. So you have to define a life that you like, that you want to live. And it's something that we can do. Of course, we have to stay well-grounded to earth, but it's something that we can do. We have to establish habits, discipline, and so on to reach our goals. Now, you need to have an emotional conversation with yourself. This is very important, and it's something that many people don't do. You have to communicate, to talk to yourself about your emotions, about what you feel, about what you like, because it's the only way to understand if what you are doing today does bring you somewhere. Or it's simply something like, I just live, I just follow the flow, and I do nothing. So you need to take the control of your life. This is very important. Point number 3. Some example. Financial goals can be related, or it can be about retirement, college education. Maybe you want to save money for some kind of education that you want to follow to improve your financial situation, or you want to put aside money for your kids, or you want to put aside money for an house down payment, or because you want to start a business, or whatever. This is something that you have to decide, that you have to define when you do an emotional conversation with yourself. Now, point number 4 that is very important. You must set a deadline about time and the amount. Because you need to oblige yourself to plan and to establish habits. Because otherwise you just put some kind of goals. If you don't have a deadline, you will just, read them on paper, but you are not realizing them. This is my example. I try to share you what is my journey about the short and long-term goals. Short term, I would like to start a business around investing because I would like to have an additional income. I want to improve my professional skills, and especially I would like to have an higher paid job position. On the long term, I would like to have I would like to be financially independent. And especially, I would like to retire in advance. I don't want to wait 65 years old. Even 3-4 years in advance would be good. Now, the art of budgeting. I use this term art because making a budget, it's really a kind of art. It's really a kind of well-crafted budget that can help us really to improve how we spend money, how we save money, how we invest money. And it's a very important thing. And without an effective budgeting, we cannot reach the financial freedom. So budgeting must be your masterpiece. I also use this, word to emphasize how budgeting is really important. And especially, we must be aware of the money that let's say enter in our pockets, but also the money that goes out. So what we call inflow and outflow, and especially the control of the emotions. Now, budgeting is emotional control. If you control basically money, you control the emotions, and vice versa. Why this? Imagine that you cannot pay certain kind of bills at the end of the month. This just creates anxiety, just makes you nervous, just makes you bad, because it seems that you have failed to do something. Everything here is related to emotions. Imagine when you go on holidays, you go to buy a new car, you go to the grocery store. Many times we are too emotional, so we buy too much. Maybe we go to the grocery and then we overspend there. Because we have not created a list, because we are not stick to our budget. So we have to plan a budget for the grocery, and then we have to stick to it and optimize it. Because otherwise it's useless that we save money. We save money, but then we overspend. So it's not really a good thing. We have to start simple to track money. Just to start simple, just create I don't know, the budget for this year, okay, till the end of the year. One sheet of paper per month, okay? You can use simply paper, or you can use, I don't know, a spreadsheet that you want, Google, Excel, what you want. Then I can provide you an example of what I use. And then keep going. Establish habit, discipline, and evolve. Improve. Before buying applications or, I don't know, buying sophisticated methods, just try in a very simple way to track your money. Another important thing, you have to be honest with yourself. Many people from the survey that I have shown you in one of the previous episodes, they don't track money because otherwise they will be ashamed of how much money they waste. You have to start to track money honestly. You only deceive yourself and you only compromise your future. This is the point. You have to understand that this kind of thing, you don't have to follow the consumism, all the different offers and so on. Think about your financial freedom, your objective. You have to think about basically yourself, your future. These are the important thing. All the rest doesn't count. You have to think about budgeting, track honestly the money that you spend, and optimize. Avoid to overspend and avoid to pay for things that you don't use or you don't need. Really thanks a lot that you have followed me till here. Please put a like, subscribe to the channel, write a comment if you have liked the video, even if you don't, and tell me why. And really thanks a lot, and see you next episode. Ciao.